Good morning. Nice of you all to drop by. Welcome back, college football, and welcome to all of you to the first installment of the College Football Kickoff Show, brought to you on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. It's yours truly, Brandon Rutherman, coming to you from the confines of home, where a lot of the shows are being done. And in a couple weeks' time, there's also Cameron Stadium, where I will be doing the first of what I hope will be several shows at Cameron Stadium during WNJ's 2024 football season, which begins Saturday, September the 7th. Just be happy and take pride in the knowledge that what we're doing today is nothing more than a dress rehearsal. It's good for two reasons. Number one, I've had an exhausting week working at the college. We just welcomed almost 500 freshmen. Almost 500 freshmen, the largest freshman class in school history, ladies and gentlemen. I kid you not. And as exhausting as this week was for all of us, it's comforting to know there aren't as many games to pick or lanyards to wear. And for those of you who have followed the show, you know where I'm going with this. For those of you that don't, I will go over the basic premise or premises for doing this show. Number one, we pick games. There's a lot of them. Today, however, we're only picking 5. And when we get to the coming weeks, it'll increase exponentially about 6 times that. Maybe 7 if we're lucky. Whenever there's a day of college football, we'll be on with you. We'll give you the picks. And in most instances, games that won't be on television, they will be dubbed as helmet selections, which explains this helmet here. This is Delaware State. New to the collection for this year. They get to play Hawaii. More on their pick upcoming. And there's also lanyards, which we save for those games that are being broadcasted on every network that carries college football, whether it's CBS, Fox, ESPN, ABC, True TV, yeah, even the ACC network, the Big Ten network, wherever there is a game on television, we have lanyards to correspond with those games, and those ones get saved for last. And yes, as well, we will also do, for the second year in a row, we will do a special assortment of games called the Big Ones, which involve any 2 teams within the top 25 that are playing against each other. But from what I can tell you, next week, there is only 2 games involving 2 teams in the top 25. Clemson against Georgia, and Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Those 2 will be picked last next week. But I am going to throw a little log into the fire, considering that when I first started doing the big ones, the first game I picked under that title involved the West Virginia Mountaineers. They played Pitt. I sang Take Me Home Country Roads in pregame. They beat Pitt, and then everybody sung the song afterwards. West Virginia then went on to have a great season and a bowl victory over North Carolina. Can't remember the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I had to get a Mayo Bowl reference in. Sorry. Hold the mayo, okay? Hold the mayo. Will history repeat itself for West Virginia? It starts next week against Penn State at Milan Pushkar Stadium, otherwise known as Mountaineer Field. I'll always call it Mountaineer Field myself. So Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and yes, an honorable big one to Penn State and West Virginia. That will be all next week. What else is there? I never found the time. Yeah, and I bet you know what you're thinking. What's the matter, Brandon? Too much college football 25? Yes! We've been playing the game a lot. Why don't we just go ahead, since this is a dress rehearsal and college game day is going to get underway here in just a little while. Why don't we go ahead and get down to the business of the picks for week 0. We got 5 games on the slate, starting with the Nocturnal Night Creeper Bowl. Okay, we're kidding. There's no such thing as a Nocturnal Night Creeper Bowl. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just get to the picks. Delaware State, and I think it would look better if we hold it the other way. Hawaii. Delaware State and Hawaii. It's an FCSer against basically a team that's starting to climb out of the hellhole that they've been under for the last 2 seasons with Timmy Chang running the show. If there is a game to win on the schedule, and Hawaii won't win many, but they will have to do its due diligence. I'm going to go with Hawaii at home. Next week they get UCLA, and it's on national television. Hawaii cannot overlook Delaware State, otherwise their season's going to sag. And incidentally, I will get to pick UCLA and Hawaii next week in lanyard form. Does this mean I'm going to actually wear an Hawaii lanyard and treat it like it's a lei? Stay tuned. You know, when I got out of bed this morning, I had 2 options. I was either going to wear the next team's t-shirt or wear this. I think I made the right decision, especially when you consider that I have only 1 lanyard selection to make, and the one game that I really wished I would have made a selection on in the way of lanyards. We do have them, but unfortunately, tonight's game involving SMU in Nevada is on a channel that I don't even get, and that's the CBS Sports Network. Good for them. It would be nice to watch the Stangs, especially when you consider that there's been quite a bit of talk about SMU possibly being in the conversation for the ACC championship. And why not? This team went 10-2 last year, the first 10-win season since the days of Eric Dickerson and Craig James. You know them better as the Pony Express backfield. And they were fun to watch back in the day. And SMU, going to be interesting to see how they shape out and shape up against the best that the ACC has to offer. For now, though, a non-conference game does not hurt them here. I'm going to go with the Stangs tonight over Nevada. Last year at this time, I mistakenly uttered the team name Northern Arizona, when in reality it was North Alabama. They're going to be on again today. Not sure which channel it's on, but I completely, with all the attention paying towards the college football video game, which I've been playing considerably, guilty as charged, folks. North Alabama is playing Southeast Missouri State today. It's the only FCS game on the schedule. Yes, we do pick FCS games. We even pick some games from Division II. Division III, there's only one team to pick, and that's W&J. Until the Division III championship, and then we lean towards that. But yes, W&J is the only team in D3 that I will pick every home game. And whether or not they're on television, or whether or not I'm doing a game from Cameron, I'm an employee. Thus, you got to support the team you're employed by. There you go. Anyway, North Alabama, Southeast Missouri State. If you have followed this show, which was under different names the last couple of years, you know I love using the phrase throwing the dart at the dartboard blindfolded. This is where you don't have a lot to work with in a homework sense. You don't know very much about either school and what time you had to sift through your copy of Lindy's College Football. They don't give you a lot on the FCS schools like they do with the FBS schools. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and throw a dart at the dartboard. I'm going to go with North Alabama since the game, I believe, is on ESPN, and boy, do they love the South, don't they? You're in Bristol, Connecticut, and all you're concerned with is football down south. I guess there's not a single soul that was a geography major. Geography doesn't count anymore. It's sad that we've come to that in our society, at least in a college football sense. Anyway, we're going to carry on. Montana State, New Mexico. I believe FS1 is covering this one. And, you know, I have lanyards for both of these teams. But it's too late in the game to be breaking them out. Especially when you consider the box of lanyards that I have in New Mexico, I know is like buried in that whole allotment of lanyards that I have. We do have a separate one for all the FCS schools, but nevertheless, this is a dress rehearsal anyway, but it's a helmet selection, as the previous three are. I could have very easily, like I said, I would have pulled out a lanyard for this one, but this game is not as big as the last game that's getting picked. So, here's the thing with this matchup. New Mexico, in that gorgeous backdrop of a football stadium that they play in, for whatever reason, just can't seem to crack it. What games they do win are very few and far between. And even in a conference like the Mountain West, there's little margin for error. And what's worse, they play their in-state rivals from Las Cruces. That would be New Mexico State. And New Mexico State, I do know, has a pretty good team in their own right, considering that they've gone to 2 bowl games and have split them. But we're not concerning ourselves with New Mexico State. So if you're New Mexico, you're playing on national television, let's see here. Do you want to nut out or get shut out? Or do you want to nut up or shut up? I can't see it happening. This is going to be a landmark day for an FCS school playing on national television that isn't playing in a playoff game. More like it's a regular season game. I'm going to go with Montana State. They got a great football between Montana and Montana State, they got something special going on up there with both of their teams. And it's wonderful to see, particularly on the Montana side. And let's not forget the Brawl of the Wild. No doubt we'll be making that pick this year. So I am going to take Montana State on the road over New Mexico, which now brings us to our final pick. Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin. I'm an old schooler. I would much had rather this be a kickoff classic from back in the days when they used to play at a Giants stadium, and it would involve any two teams not within the conference. No. Any two teams, non-conference teams, in the top 25. When I think about the kickoff classic, I think about one play. And it involves Tennessee linebacker Darren Miller against Iowa, who intercepted a 4th-and-1 option pass, which was a design pass-run option. He sat back, he jumped on the pitch, and I could still hear Keith Jackson to this very day on the call of the play. The Yanks or Pains are coming, touchdown! I wish they would bring that back, but no. We got to go to Dublin. Why? To drink all the profits. Drink all the profits in Dublin. Brilliant. That's right. Rounds of Guinness for everybody. Whether you're a Florida State fan or a Georgia Tech fan, you get to sample the fine quality of Guinness. I've never had it myself, but oh yeah, by the way, let's I forgot to put the helmets up. Florida State and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, incidentally, in conjunction with the game in Dublin, is wearing a special Celtic stripe down the middle. Not that that's going to mean anything. But, hey, they're becoming one with it. I don't know if it's forced upon the will that they got to wear, customary customs in conjunction with the game. But if there's one thing we do know, this is a conference game for the early lead in the ACC, which could later be tied if SMU wins tonight. The only thing is, the winner of today's Florida State-Georgia Tech game will have basically a game in hand if SMU wins tonight. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with all sorts of craziness and projections and this, that, and the other. It's just going to get monotonous, but that's why I'm here to try to straighten everything out. So, we're coming up on 20 minutes of showtime here, and we do have to make a lanyard selection. So, first things first about Georgia Tech. They improved by leaps and bounds last year. They found themselves in a bowl game for the first time in a long time. They're back to being themselves instead of something they're not. When Paul Johnson was running the show down there, they were trying to be like Army. They were trying to be like Navy. It was all Paul Johnson knew was all the bones. He rolled them, and they came up snake eyes. They couldn't do anything. That's why they were at the bottom of the conference. Now, all this time later, I do not know off the top of my head who's running the show down there at Georgia Tech, but they got something to build on from last year's bowl season. And they will win some games that most people won't expect them to win. They're going to be in the conversation. However, I am reminded of how Florida State's season ended a year ago. You think Mike Norvell is chomping at the bit to get this season going? I have no doubt in my mind. Yes, Jordan Travis is not the starting quarterback now. Yes, Keon Coleman is not the starting wide receiver now. but Florida State does have enough people and enough ammunition to be in the college football playoff conversation, and they will be in the conversation. And it starts today with a win over Georgia Tech. Yes, I'm doing the tomahawk chop. And doing it specifically for a former teacher of mine back in my high school days. If Jane Bennett, if you're watching this, I'm rooting for your boys today. They got a good program and a good head coach down there. Here's to a great season for your Seminoles. And for that, we put an end to this dress rehearsal. The next time you will hear from me will be Wednesday? We're kind of moving everything up a day because of the echocardiogram I got on Saturday. So I'm thinking Wednesday will take care of the Thursday games. The Thursday games Thursday will take care of the Friday ones. And then Friday we take care of everything else. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy few days for yours truly, but isn't it great that college football's back? Strap in, hold tight. It's going to be a fun, crazy, wild ride, and you've got yours truly bringing it all to you on the College Football Kickoff Show. From all of me to all of you, enjoy your college football Saturday. This has been the College Football Kickoff Show. Have yourselves a great one. I'm out.